You know, I mentioned this. I mentioned this briefly in my previous video, and I want to talk about it here. You know, we all kind of, depending on how we feel, we kind of like what TNA did by bringing the beautiful people back together. But some of us kind of find it a little ridiculous that it wasn't that long ago that Velvet Sky was a babyface diva. Or knockout, I should say. Babyface knockout. She was involved in this situation with Chris Sabin, and she was basically pulling out, as I said in the previous video, at times some Super Cena-like victories. Like over in the UK, she beat this freaking giant alpha female, if you will, with her finisher. And she's small compared to this lady. She's small compared to this lady. So you would think, okay, they put her through all that. You have Angelina come back. When they come back to the States, go back to Universal Studios, you have Angelina come back. You obviously got things planned for Angelina if you're bringing her back, which was obvious on Sunday. Which was obvious, I should say, this past Sunday. But you bring Angelina back, and all of a sudden you want her, and all of a sudden you're having her go out to reform the beautiful people. And she wants Velvet to join. Well, basically she wants Velvet to rejoin the beautiful people, or reform the beautiful people. And so you play it up to the point that you eventually know Velvet's probably going to rejoin, or there's that slight possibility that TNA will go the other direction and say, no, we're not going to let that happen. Velvet's going to stay babyface. And instead, only within the span of a few weeks, you have Velvet turn heel and reform the beautiful people with Angelina, and all of a sudden they go back to being the Valley Girls that they were before. The spray cans and all that, and the talking, and it's like, you could kind of understand why maybe they were put back together, because maybe you do need some kind of name recognition for that Knockouts division. You need the Knockouts division to be noticed again, for people to talk about it again. Maybe that's why you did it. And maybe it is because, Vince Russo is back on the payroll in a sense, even though he's not physically in the building. He's just consulting, okay, this is what you should do, and oh, by the way, you should re-sign Angelina, and oh, by the way, when you re-sign her, reform the beautiful people, because that's what people liked about the Knockouts division. That's one of the reasons people tuned into TNA, talked about TNA, and even the Knockouts division. And don't get me wrong about that. Don't get me wrong about that. That is true. But now, you take a look at the fact that, the beautiful people have the Knockouts title. And I give congrats to Angelina for making history by becoming the first 6-time Knockouts champion, which no doubt, when TNA holds the Hall of Fame ceremony, is going to put her in contention for a Hall of Fame slot in the future, whether it's in TNA Hall of Fame or in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's going to put her in that slot. And let's say she ever does leave again, it's going to basically up her profile and her resume even more, to the point that WWE might be like, you know what? We shouldn't have let Angel Williams go, which is her real name. Angel Williams go. Let's bring her back, and let's bring her in as Angelina Love, because that's going to be a name people are going to recognize. And let's put her as a prominent part of the Divas division. Which, again, could work. But then, as great as it is, and if you're a fan of the beautiful people, whether they're heel or babyface, you have to admit that there has to be a reason as to why the beautiful people are back together. I mean, when you take a look at the Knockouts division, and I have to correct myself in the previous video, you have Brittany. You have Gail. You have Madison. You have the beautiful people, that's 5. But along with the beautiful people, like I said, you have Gail, you have Brittany, you have Madison, you have ODB, who I forgot to mention. And now you got this new Rebel girl that's coming in with Nux. And I guess she's going to be a babyface or maybe a heel, I don't know. Or maybe she'd be an anti-person, I don't know. But you got her coming in. You know, like I said, you got her coming in. So basically, you got, along with the beautiful people, 6 knockouts on in your division. And you need to get more so you can have an establishment there, right? I mean, take a look at WWE. A couple of years ago, people were saying the same thing about the Divas division that they're saying about the Knockouts division right now. That there wasn't enough divas. There wasn't enough storylines. There wasn't enough, you know, actual diva wrestlers. And yet now look. What an improvement, right? And then what a difference. And TNA needs to rebuild that Knockouts division. There's no doubt about it. They got 6. They just need about maybe 6, 12 more. Maybe 6 more. Maybe, I don't know, 6, 8 more. And maybe you can have, or 10 more, and you can have a decent Knockouts division. Maybe you can even bring back the Knockout Tag titles. Who knows? And heck, you got Taryn Tyrell that's coming back soon, and Test Marker's there, so that's 8 knockouts. That's pretty damn cool. I mean, when Tyrell comes back, that's 7. Test Marker ever shows back up again, that's 8. Get 2 more, you have a 10 knockout division. You know, get 4 more, you'll have a 12 knockout division. And I think that's what they're building towards, and that's good. That's a good sign there. But the point is, you always wonder, okay, you know, being a fan of the beautiful people, whether they're babyface or heel, you're glad to see them back together because, like I mentioned, they do bring recognition to that Knockouts division. You know, they bring, you know, they get people to tune back in. I mean, I'm sure when people heard, oh, by the way, the beautiful people are back together, people that tuned out of TNA, they're like, beautiful people? I'm pretty sure they tuned back in and saw them, and were happy to see them. There's no doubt about it. But again, there's got to be a reason for it, right? And again, I'm sorry if I got off track there a bit, but there's got to be a reason. And I believe the reason is this. Now, maybe I'm going to be wrong, and if I am, so be it. But what is the purpose of bringing the beautiful people back together? A knockout tag team, if you will. What is the purpose of bringing them back together if you got no knockout tag titles? And Velvet's pretty much going to be, I don't know, second fiddle to Angelina, right? Here's why. In my opinion, this is why I think they're doing it. I think they're doing it because they're building, I mentioned this briefly in the other video, they're going to start building the foundation, and again, if I'm wrong, but I believe they're going to start building the foundation to an Angelina Love versus Velvet Sky Knockouts title match at Bound for Glory. Yeah, I truly believe that, yeah, Angelina may or may not lose the belt in between there. You know, she may lose it and regain it in between there, maybe become a 7-time, 8-time, maybe a 10-time Knockouts champion, be the first ever, which again would be giving her a lot of credit because that definitely raises her resume a lot in the professional wrestling business. But I truly believe that's what they're doing. Because think about it this way. You basically built Velvet up a little bit this year. Then you downgraded her. And then you build her back up, put her back with the beautiful people, turned her heel. Again, to me, I think this is all part of that. I think there's something there that they're basically using this whole reformation of the beautiful people and all that to basically build and Velvet back up to the standards of Knockout Champion. I know some people may not like to hear that, but I believe that's what's going to happen. And it's going to happen very, very soon. The build towards it, it's a little early right now, as crazy as that sounds, it's a little early right now. But the build towards it is coming. I feel it. I feel it's going to happen. You're going to end up getting them into a match to where it's every knockout for themselves, maybe for the title. Velvet's going to try to go for the pin, and Angelina's going to stop. And that, to me, is going to start setting up the, and I apologize for the pause there, I was thinking, that is going to set up the foundation towards Velvet and Angelina. Now, you might say, well, we've seen Velvet and Angelina before. We've seen them against each other. Yes, you have, but we haven't seen a straight-up Angelina versus Velvet thing. We haven't seen a straight-up, reasoning. all we've had in the past is Angelina getting drugged and being controlled by somebody, like Winter. That's all we've ever had. We never had any legit, real reason behind an Angelina Velvet thing. We haven't had no real legit reason or history made, or history behind it. And to me, I believe that's what we're leading towards. I think that's what TNA wants to lead towards. And TNA has that potential, and I think that's what they're doing. This is what I was talking about briefly in the other video. TNA has the potential to do some good things. They do. I mean, they have proven it in the past that they could do some good things. There's no doubt about it. That, like last year with AJ Styles. Even though it was a copy of the CM Punk, Summer of Punk storyline, guess what? They followed through on it. They did what WWE could not. This year they've done some things that are good too. Gunner and James Storm, which is decent, pretty good. Magnus being champion, even though he was a very weak champion. I hate to say that. Elevating Bobby Roode a little bit more now against the likes of, let's say, a Bully Ray. All these things. Elevating someone like an Ethan Carter, who's actually a WWE guy, but was more of a WWE developmental guy than anything. Elevating an Ethan Carter against someone like a Kurt Angle. The point is, folks, TNA can do a lot of good things. They can. I mean, they did the unexpected not that long ago when they had Sonata, I think that's his name, how you pronounce his name, on a Wrestler One show, a crossover one night only show that's going to air, I guess, later this year or very soon. They had him beat Austin Aries for the X Division title. Alright? That was something that you don't normally see anymore in wrestling companies, that something happens, that title changes outside of television, and mostly outside of the promotion, and if not outside of the country. That's something you don't normally see anymore. So, to me, TNA has the potential to do good things. Whether you agree with it or not, they have some potential. The Samuel Shaw character, you may be questionable about that one. Maybe wondering what the heck they're going to do with this guy. Well, they've already proven they can do some good things, good creepy things with this guy. And who knows, the ceiling is high for him. But the point is, they have proven that they can do some good things. And I think this is one of them. I think this whole Beautiful People reunion, or reformation, in my opinion, is just planting the seeds for a legit Angelina versus Velvet match for the Knockouts title at Bound for Glory. I truly believe it. I truly believe that because it's going to have a lot more meaning towards it than the previous encounters where, like I say, Angelina was under the control of Winter. It's going to have more meaning. It's going to have more reasoning. It's going to be more personal. It's going to have more story built around it. It's going to have more history. Because you're going to have Velvet, like I said, probably go back to being a babyface, which is apparently the direction they're going to go. And if I'm wrong again, like I said earlier, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I truly believe, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I truly believe this is where they're going. And the setup is perfect. Because look who's the Knockouts champ. Angelina. Who's the one that's going to keep probably saving her butt for it? Angelina. Velvet. I guarantee you, the moment the match was a multi-knockout match, maybe for the title, comes around, which I do believe Angelina might retain in because it's a multi-knockout match. The moment Velvet sees someone like, say, a Rebel, or a Brittany, or the ODB, down on the canvas and, just down on the canvas and, knocked out, basically in a position to be pinned, right? Basically in a vulnerable position to be pinned. That's what I was trying to say. The moment that happens in that multi-knockout match, and it's going to happen, is when that seed's going to be planted. Because Angelina's going to see it. She's going to pull Velvet off. And Velvet, there'll probably be some kind of argument a little bit, but again, the seeds will be planted. They will be planted, and then we're going to go from there. The seeds will be planted, the foundation will be laid, and it's just going to keep building and building and building, and eventually the payoff's going to be the match between them at Bound for Glory for the title, and it's going to have, and it's going to be a better, I believe will be one of the better knockout storylines going, because it's going to have more, like I say, more meaning, more history, it's going to be more personal, and it's not going to have no, and basically it's not going to be like before. What's going to make it better and different, like I said, is you're not going to have Angelina be like, I do what Winter says. No. It's basically going to be straight up legit. It's going to be a better storyline, and I think people are going to love it for that. I really do. And it's going to be a better payoff. Now, I know some people may say, well, why would they focus? Because, okay, why would TNA want to focus on going in that direction? It's to be a thank you to Angelina. It's a thank you to Velvet Sky. Because if it wasn't for those two, along with the other knockouts, most importantly, from a name recognition standpoint of getting the Knockouts division and getting the Knockouts division recognized and talked about, probably the best at the time, and still could be, best women's wrestling division in the world, if not the country. If it wasn't for them, there would be no knockout division. There would be no people talking about it. People would be mostly talking about the Divas division, or what's going on in Shimmer, or what's going on in WSU. That's what they'd be talking about. They wouldn't be talking about what's going on with the knockouts. They wouldn't be talking about that. And to me, this is the payoff. The payoff is a match between the two, who are basically, let's say, the founding mothers, if you will, of the Knockouts division. It's going to be a match between those two at Bound for Glory. And it's going to have more reasoning, more history. It's going to be more of a legit, more personal situation than what we had before. And I think TNA, and hopefully if he is still working with them in a consulting kind of fashion, Vince Russo will now realize that. Again though, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I believe that's what we're getting at Bound for Glory. I believe that's why the beautiful people were reformed, and I believe that's where we're heading at Bound for Glory. So, let me know what you guys think though. Do you agree that we might be heading to that? Because it's too obvious to me, folks, in my opinion. So, even if I haven't watched TNA in a while, from the clips I've seen on YouTube and stuff, it's just too obvious to me. It's just too obvious. The spoilers I read, it's just too obvious. So, let me know what you guys think down below. Respond if you want, and I will talk to you all later. God bless. Take care.